Doomsday is coming. And there's a lot of questions surrounding it. We got the teaser trailers, as talked about earlier. We know that Cap's coming back. We know that Downey is Doom, and he's going to be here in a big bad way because he better be. There's been no build-up.
Right.
And so there was a end credits scene of Thunderbolts. And apparently this was shot by the Russo brothers. This is a part of the movie. And so this was probably the most important end credits scene that we've seen thus far, besides the little one for Fantastic Four. And in this end credits scene, we see our Fantastic Four ship shooting down to Earth 616. And everyone assumes this is how the Fantastic Four gets to Earth. But apparently, there might be someone else on this ship. This comes to us from yahoo.com. They say, Yahoo? No, they don't say that. They say, new spoilers may reveal who was on the Fantastic Four ship seen in the post-credit scene of Thunderbolts, and it may not be who you expect. While it may be assumed it was the Fantastic Four arriving, a new reveal suggests that they were not alone on the ship. Movie scooper Daniel Rickman confirmed reports that the passengers on the ship also include Dr. Doom and Steve Rogers. Chris Evans has been confirmed to return as Steve Rogers in Doomsday, but it is not clear what version of the character is featured in the movie. It makes sense that Dr. Doom would be on the ship, as the villain was teased in the post-credit scene of the Fantastic Four First Steps. This confirms that he belongs in the Fantastic Four's universe, maybe. And Avengers Doomsday will have to find a way to bring all these characters into Earth 616. So, which Steve Rogers is on the ship? If these are indeed the passengers of the Fantastic Four ship that arrives in Wakanda, which we saw in a short little teaser for the Avengers Doomsday teaser, Wakanda version, Steve Rogers' inclusion raises some big questions. Given that the Fantastic Four and Dr. Doom are coming from another universe, it would seemingly confirm that this version of Steve Rogers may not be the one from Earth 616. This would be a surprising decision, as the trailer we saw confirmed Steve Rogers' return very much made it seem like it was the version that went back and stayed with Peggy, and it's the one that we all knew and love in Earth 616 that we've seen thus far. Having it be a new version of the character would be possibly a disappointment to some fans, unless it was for a very good reason. We saw Hugh Jackman return as Wolverine and made a similar decision. Instead of undoing the ending of Fox X-Men character from Logan, it was confirmed that this was an alternate version of the character. And for that story, it made a lot of sense and turned out, in my opinion, to be a really beautiful version of what we could see Wolverine as, and play very well against the Deadpool that we know and love. So, of course, you know, when dealing with multiverses and time travel, there are always other possibilities to consider. And there is still an intriguing way that this could still be the original Steve Rogers, while also hinting at his role in the movie. I want to ask you, Vic, what do you think about the reports now that Steve Rogers and Dr. Doom are on this Fantastic Four ship? And I've heard from people that have gotten privy to reading the script and have said that this is indeed true. Sorry, guys. I might just put this here just in case. I should have put it before. No, it's too late. This is speculation. We don't know, but there is more people that are getting to read the script and understand what the story is. So, Vic, what do you think? Do you think that, you know, these reports are true, that Dr. Doom and Steve Rogers are on the Fantastic Four ship that we saw? And what version of Captain America do you think could be on that ship?
So storytelling wise, I do like this concept, right? Because what I think ultimately the multiverse has not done well is it has not given us other iterations of characters that we know and enjoy. The closest that we got was Multiverse of Madness, where we saw other characters that had a different,
Yeah.
track of how they came out. Right. Like, and it wasn't great, but it kind of gave us that, but nothing else really did, right? So I think one of the things that should be very important as a possibility, especially with the introduction of Doctor Doom, is for everyone to consider, and even in his presentation, that he's actually a good guy, that he is not the problem that we know him to be from comics, because he hasn't been
Right.
introduced as that. And so what will be great is if Doom is seemingly positioned as a good guy and Steve is not. I would say it would be very interesting if this is Hydra Steve. That this is Steve who, under machinations, we won't even get into exactly how it happened in the comics versus this, but under
Right.
machinations, he is one that actually helped win the war, survived the war, because he actually sided with Hydra. And that would be the greatest twist, is that Steve is actually the bad guy. That he's the one that is what everyone else is not paying any attention to, because it's been there the whole time. There's the joke of Endgame where, Steve is in the elevator and he quells an entire fight by saying, "Hail Hydra." What if he actually means it now? And no one else assumes that that's what he is.
That'd be cool.
That paints
Yeah.
a great picture. Great picture.
You're giving me the because this is just like we're at this point where this is just so fun to talk about and theorize. We are back
Yes.
in it with the MCU, with Marvel, where it's like we want to
Mhm.
know, like the possibilities are endless. And I feel like that John Hamm meme, like, ooh, it's like I'm just
Right?
living in the theories and in the leaks that are supposedly true.
Absolutely.
But I think there's another thing that people aren't really talking about, and that's
What you got?
on this ship, these guys
Mhm.
aren't like just hanging out, playing chess on the ship, playing that Star Wars chess game. They're not just
Mhm.
like chilling on this ship. So what exactly is going on this ship? Like we saw in the teaser, Ben Grimm is talking to the Wakandans. And
Mhm.
so, we've seen trailers play with our minds and it might not have been real. But on the ship, you know, is Doctor Doom tied up and held captive by Fantastic Four and this Steve Rogers helped them? Is Steve Rogers held captive and Fantastic Four is being forced to fly there via Doctor Doom? Like, what are the dynamics on the ship? Because it's cool to know, like, oh, okay, Fantastic Four, Doom, and Cap are all on the ship, but they're not all like playing tea time and having fun. There has to be some like things that are going on the ship. So I'm really wondering, like, what are they all doing on the ship together? That's really what I want to know. And if that's the case, like, does it really matter if it's Captain Steve, Captain Hydra, Captain America?
Right.
Because it could be messing with us. It could be a misdirect. We have no idea. But what is the situation on the ship? Is this a hostage situation? Is this a we're coming to rescue someone? We're escaping someone? Like, that's
Mhm.
really what I want to know is what's happening on the ship. What do you think is happening on the ship? What do you think
I
is the
think
possibility? Yeah.
I think it's a rescue escape situation. I think that what this ultimately is going to set up is that Doomsday, and this is kind of an interesting sort of, slowly forming theory of mine as a writer. Again, I don't know, so please don't, grain of salt, but possible spoilers. Is part of the reason why it's called Doomsday is because Doom is not actually the bad guy. Doom is a figure within this, and that just happens to be his name. The issue is that there's a greater whole of a problem. The incursions are happening and worlds are being destroyed. And though in some places these would be enemies, they have to work together, because that's the thing that has to happen to save everybody. And it's one of the few story tropes that we've not really seen in the MCU take place, where a bad guy has to actually side with the good guys because there's a bigger bad that they have to address. And that's one of those classic comic booky things where, oh man, this is our world too. We got to protect
Yeah.
everybody. And if that's the case, I think that becomes the thing where, yes, they could all be on the ship. There's distrust. There is, questionable motivations, but they've all experienced this, communicative sort of event where they're like, like I don't like Dooms, but he came and he showed us this thing and he's right. Like, we did the numbers. It is happening, and this is Hydra, and we don't like Hydra, but he's right. Like this is happening, and we need
Yeah.
this guy. So that's the state of things, and part of the reason why I would love for them to go to Wakanda, because again, if these are these type of separated individuals, they should not know what is Wakanda, right? There's no
Yeah.
Wakanda in the Fantastic Four that we
How they
saw.
know how to get there? It's hidden.
Exactly, exactly. So the idea should be that Wakanda is like this beacon of technology or understanding that they're coming there because they're like, we figure you, based on the things that you're producing, you are the best guess for how we can stave this off because we couldn't do it in these other places. We're going to try to do it here. Can we stay? Can we get refuge here? Because again, that's another thing that we've seen within the MCU so far is that Wakanda is a place that will take in refugees, and no matter what your background is, Winter Soldier was a killer. He was a wanted person throughout the globe. They took him in, was like, hey, no, you can stay here. You will be protected, and we will help you figure out what you need to do. I can see that being a case for what's happening there. Beyond that, I really don't know. And I'm so excited for the fact that I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's really good. I want to bring up something. First, I got to say, hey, Jeffrey, good day
Hello, hello.
in Australia. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Um, and I'm gonna get to yours, Kevin, and 11:30. I just wanted to say though, because I rewatch things way too much, and so I was watching Across the Spider Verse
Hmm.
again last
Hmm.
night, and Miguel O'Hara is talking about going to a different universe and filling that void and being with his daughter again, and because he was there, it caused an incursion, and everyone
Hmm.
starts disappearing, and you can't mess with the timeline like that. And we've seen, and then my wife and I put on No Way Home, and we saw the timeline and the cracks and people seeping through too. And then with Doctor Strange, same kind of thing. And so I'm wondering, you know all these things that have happened have had to affect Doctor Doom's world, whether
Hmm.
it's Cap deciding to stay back with Peggy after returning the stones. Maybe he didn't
Hmm.
return the stones properly, or just maybe him staying back really messed with the timeline. Whatever happened in No Way Home, whatever happened in Doctor Strange. There's all these things that have happened that could easily cause incursions and ruin other people's worlds. I truly believe that these things added up to Doctor Doom, who was fine, had a family. Maybe he was with Sue in this universe, had some
Hmm.
kids. I don't know if it's from the Fantastic Four universe. It very well could be, or it very well could not be. But I
Right.
do see a possibility that whatever we did in 616 has had huge ramifications on his world, so much so that he lost everything. He lost
Hmm.
his loved ones. He lost his kids. He lost his family. And so, what greater revenge than going to these other universes, taking the Fantastic Four's kid? I had a kid with her. I'm taking your kid now. Taking Captain America's kid, taking Scott Summers' kid. So he's so mad that the optic blast shoots out.
Hmm.
And he's really getting his vengeance because all these things that occurred ruined his world, and now
Hmm.
he's on a rampage to get his world back for something ideal that he wants to live in, which is
Hmm.
God Emperor Doom, where everything bows to him. He played nice. He played nice. He let you guys live your lives and do what you want to do, but you did it so much that you ruined his world, and now he's coming for everything that you love. And what do you think about that?
So, okay, you playing on a lot of things that I really like. Um, Doctor Doom would definitely be one of my favorite villains. Um, his name is Victor. Like I can't help but see a simpatico there. But
Yes, sir.
one of the things I think is important to recognize from the comics is that the incursion structure was not something necessarily instigated by Doom. So Emperor Doom became a de
Definitely.
facto result of what happened as he put himself in a position of, and he wasn't, again, spoilers, he wasn't the first person that could have taken the power. It was
Right.
Doctor Strange who could have taken it and didn't, and Doom said, I'll do it. If we use that as the framework, what I would want to pose to you is not necessarily in a vengeful sense that something has happened to Doom and he's trying to get back. It has happened, but what we all have overlooked as fans is the one thing that the Ancient One tells Bruce Banner in
Yeah.
Endgame that is true of this world. They do not have any Infinity Stones. And by them not having any, the threat that she says that could happen to these other places in time is very active towards the current MCU. They don't have Infinity Stones. So what if their lack of Infinity Stones is causing something to come and cause incursions, and Doom is grabbing, we'll say, living embodiments that could in effect be like Infinity Stones. He's grabbing Franklin, who controls reality, right?
Yes.
Maybe he grabs Rachel Summers, who is like a living embodiment of the Mind Stone through the Phoenix Force. Like he's grabbing people
Hmm.
and bringing them to this space to try to stave off whatever is coming that could in fact be the thing that if you had Infinity Stones, this thing would never happen. It wouldn't even try. But because we ours are gone, thank you, Thanos, because you got rid of them,
Okay.
you jerk. You set us up for something so much bigger of an issue than what even he recognized. And Doom is trying his best to bring all these pieces together to handle it. And when it comes down to it, at the end, he's the only one that's willing to take on the responsibility of reshaping the universe. And there are going to be people that are going to be like, well, that's not right. And he's like, no one else did it. I was the one. Like Doctor Strange, he was there, he was with me, and he chose not to do it. I had no choice. It was either that or we all die. If
Hmm.
that makes me a bad person, then so be it. But I'm not
This would
giving
be
you my
it. Yeah.
power now.
Yeah.
I
Very
earned it because
similar.
this is my
There
choice.
is similar aspects of what I was saying, but it fits more
Yes.
for sure. It fits. It definitely fits more. I really like that. Man, they better
Come
deliver,
on. They
bro.
come
I
on.
mean, I'm
Come on.
hearing great things about the script. Like I'm hearing
Good, good,
they did it again. They did it again.
good.
Let's look a little bit about we're gonna get to Kevin's question because I really like that.
Mhm.
And we'll end this segment with Kevin's question, but I want to talk about 1130, who said, looks like Marvel leaked this to throw everyone off. It seems so fishy. We're getting leaks left and right for Doomsday. So, do you think that this is a leak to throw us off, or that more because they push this, more and more people are seeing the script now, so more stuff is going to get out? And by the time we get to like March, April, like pretty much we're going to know what this story is going to be about.
I'd like to think that in all actuality, there are so many people that want this to succeed that these leaks are
Mhm.
not real. That there's no way for these leaks to be real because
Right.
unfortunately, leaks don't necessarily, in my opinion, drive people to want to see something. They
No.
go, I don't need to see it because I already know. And I can see this being something where so many leaks are coming out that you have to come to see if what's true, what
Right.
actually is true. And if they're smart, this is all part of their marketing where they go, this thing that we said, it didn't happen in the movie, but it is true in the multiverse. It is true in the multiverse here. This, like, all these things were very
That darn
possible, and that was the
multiverse.
point. Yes, yes. Like you lean into it by saying
Yeah.
that's the whole reason why you want to come see it, because all of those things could be true. And you have to come
Yeah.
see it to see which one is true. If they're really good, they will take some direction from Across the Spider-Verse, and there will be different endings
Hmm.
for different movies. So like okay, so I don't know if you knew this. In Across the Spider-Verse, they have different dialogue, at least like 7 different versions of this movie. Did you know that?
They still do, like, now that it's on like streaming and stuff, or
I
like
don't
when
know
they
if it's
was
still
it
on,
in when it was in the
streaming, but when it was
theaters?
released, there were different versions. So like little quips and things like that that were said weren't in all of the productions. There were different
Interesting.
ones. So imagine if, and again, this could be a brilliant marketing tactic. You have all these things that could happen, and one version that you get in San Francisco has some things in it that what I get in Indiana does not. I have things in it
Interesting.
that you don't get. What it forces is that will be a huge piece for people to go back to the movies to see it again. It
Mm-hmm.
forces people to talk, and it plays up on this idea of what are leaks in a multiversal story? What does it
Yeah,
even mean? You can hear something and it's true for you, but it's not true for me because it's not in my universe. Now you've made a meta multiversal thing,
that's
and the only
wild.
person that knows is Deadpool. That's what I would do. Like,
Yeah,
he'd be the one person that would know, like, actually there's this many different movies. Have Ryan Reynolds do that. How many
that
different
would be
times will we
cool.
go see this movie? A bunch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna see it a bunch, even if it's the same.
Also true.
even if it,
Also true.
even even if it's the same ending, I'm seeing it multiple times.
Absolutely.
I want to bring up what Kevin was saying. So there
Hmm.
is new management at Disney. I was gonna talk about it, but I'm like, yeah, we're talking about so much Disney stuff, anyways.
Sure, sure.
Dana Walden and Josh D'Amaro, who are the new heads, you would say, right, of Disney,
Hmm.
making the decisions moving forward. I don't know about MCU rebooting happening now. I think they brought these people on because they're part of the Disney family. They're part
Hmm.
of the vision that's been occurring, especially Dana Walden on the creative side. Josh is more on the parks and attractions and stuff like that side. And so
Hmm.
I think whatever was set up with Bob Iger and Kevin Feige in their plans for these movies, they ensured they had someone on the creative side like Dana Walden at the top to continue to see it through.
Hmm.
So, regardless of the new heads of studio coming in, they've been there. They've been there for a long time, especially Dana.
True.
She was up for the CEO role, and then they decided, let's keep her. They built it out so if there's another Bob Chapek situation, we got someone
Right.
on the creative side at the very top that will ensure nothing skips a beat.
Right.
So I really think, in my opinion, and you can speak on this next, I don't see them changing the plan about if that is the plan. We got to
Hmm.
see once we get closer that the MCU reboot would still happen, even with this shift in management. What do you think?
I think, ideally speaking, if there is a reboot, it is much further off than what we are expecting. I think one of the biggest properties that could show how this could work, that for whatever reason no one has thought of, like, this is the simpatico, this is the similarity that we have, and it's right here in the house, is the amount of time between the original trilogy of Star Wars and the prequel trilogy. There was a
Mm-hmm.
very long time in between, and the idea of a reboot could just be that we've told this story, it's a big crescendo, it's been over 20 years, we've told this, and we're done for a while, and we're not going to touch it for 10 years. If there's a reboot, it's going to require new people to come in to do it, because it won't really be a reboot if we have any of the same voices that were there before. Now what we
Right.
need are for those people that were raised under this to come back and go, now what would you do? You've
So
seen
you
what
think
we
Kevin
what we
Feige would
do.
be out?
Listen, after 20 years of just the MCU, if I was
Yeah.
Feige, seeing how, again, everything crescendoed with Endgame, if you hit that level again, leave, because the opportunity for you to do it again is so small. That window, you're talking a pinprick of a pinprick that you got to hit with a bullet while moving. No, leave on that high note like you should have the first time, and go, and we're done. We are done. I'm not doing it. If somebody
Yeah.
else wants to, go for it. But in terms of box office, who has the box office as a producer like he would have? You know what I mean? Like, he's hit the benchmarks.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
either
100%.
die the hero, or you stay long enough to become the villain. And he's tasted that. And if he can get back to hero status, he's got nothing else to prove. Go ahead and step down.
Yeah, it's been, a lot of people forget he was on all those X-Men movies,
Yep.
all that stuff. So
Yep.
he's been doing it for 26 years, and
That's what I'm
that is
saying.
a lot, but he loves it. And I don't know if they're going to be ballsy enough to not replace him. It's his decision.
Hmm.
It's Kevin
Hmm.
Feige. But that is a huge vacuum when you lose someone that big.
Yes.
On
Yes.
top of that, they are full steam ahead with X-Men. And so, in my opinion, I think Kevin Feige never got to do X-Men like he wanted to because he
I can see
wasn't
that.
at the top. And so I
Right.
really think now that he fully owns X-Men, he can do exactly what he envisioned 26 years ago, but he didn't have that clout that he has
Hmm.
now to really do it. So I could see him owning that and then maybe piecing out. But I don't see the gap because I think they're full steam ahead with X-Men, with Jake Schreier coming in from Thunderbolts. And
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
really think they're going to go hard on X-Men and then build it out from there. And that's what I think they should do. Jeffrey, I see a lot of your comments. We are like at the end of this segment because we got to move on. I do just want to mention, he said, I think they need a huge mic drop at the end of part
Yes.
one. Huge. They can't repeat what happened in Infinity War. Wouldn't it be wild if the hero of these two movies is Thanos? Dang, that would be extremely wild for sure. And then, excuse me, what happened to Young Avengers? We know that these X-Men aren't going to survive these movies, right? Too.
Hmm.
This is the last movie for some of these actors. So I don't know if the Young Avengers, they're not young anymore. They're going to
Right.
be they're like 30 now. They're going to be champions. Two, we have heard rumblings that Champions will be more of a TV series. And so I don't know how much they're going to be involved with these big movies.
Mm,
But you never know. So
true.
let us know what you guys think. What do you think about getting back to the main topic, Captain America and Doctor Doom being on that Fantastic Four ship that we saw in the post-credit scene of Thunderbolts? What versions of Captain America could it be?
Hmm.
Drop a comment below and let us know your thoughts.